Sit with Lexi B.
Hey fam, welcome back to Sit with Lexi B podcast. My name is Lexi B, and this episode is so necessary, y'all. We are talking to the Jessica Walker about monetizing online. If you don't know Jessica, she is a very famous TikTok influencer. She's a consultant, she's a coach. She literally is helping people on the internet make money by doing the things that you do every day, which is create content for the internet. With Jessica, though, she's showing you how to do what you do, but get paid for it, right? I mean, I think that's important. So listen as Jessica and I go into detail about how she got to this. What was her career pivot to decide, hey, this is what I'm good at, this is what I love to do, and y'all are gonna pay me for it. And then what is that transformation to go from doing the work to actually teaching people how to do it themselves? Tune in.
Sit with Lexi B podcast.
I am so excited to talk to you today about monetizing content online, because as you know, this is a topic near and dear to my heart, because I feel like if you don't push yourself online, you might as well get paid for it instead of all these other people getting paid for what you put online for free.
Absolutely.
So I'll put that out there, especially people from groups of people that are systemically disenfranchised in colonization.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So before we get there, though, what is in your coffee cup? What are you drinking with us?
I have just plain old water. I'm plain Jane today. Just water.
Is it plain or is it healthy? I think that we need to rebrand this.
True. Which I'm not a huge water drinker, but I'm trying to get better, especially since where I am, it's 100 and something degrees. So yeah.
Girl, drink your water.
Right.
Lord have mercy. Drink your water.
Right. Yeah. And it's pretty often that it's pretty hot. So I am trying to get a lot better at not dehydrating myself.
And where are your people from?
So I am going to give you the earliest recognition that I have. But as you ask this question, I'm also like, I need to find out deeper in my roots. My father is from Fresno, California, and my mom is from Richmond, California, which a lot of people, I think, now know what it is, but I used to be able to say that and people would be like, where's that? So it's next to Oakland and San Francisco in the Bay Area. My parents conjugated together and created myself and two other siblings there in Richmond, California. So I originated from Richmond, California.
Well, then I live close to your parents' house because I'm in Oakland. So I live about 20 minutes away.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So I can roll up and get a plate on Sunday. I can, Jessica.
Right.
I can.
You can for one of them. The other one lives next to me, which is farther away now. So, but yes, one of my relatives is still there, and my husband is from Oakland, so we go back quite often.
Awesome. Come back to the Bay.
Absolutely.
So you are an online monetization queen, if you will.
Right.
You have literally built a business, not only monetizing your content, but then teaching, inspiring, and helping others monetize their content. Before we get into the topic of how to do this with your tips and tricks, I wanted to ask you, how did you get started in this space? Because it's a very specific space, Jessica.
Right. And it's so funny because a lot of folks tell me that they don't hear a lot of people talking about actual monetization, right? You hear people making money all of the time, right? But nobody really talks about how to make that money.
Right.
And then what platforms are paying, all that good stuff. So I got into this because I started to create content accidentally from maternal mental health. I had gone through postpartum depression and anxiety for years and didn't really know what it was. So as I identified what it was, I was like, oh my gosh, this is something that's been around me a long time. And I just didn't know how to identify it. And I think a lot of folks, especially my family and around me, just didn't know how to identify it. So, that cousin, that uncle, those certain things, you're like, oh, they were actually going through some mental health challenges. So as I started to bring more advocacy to the forefront and I started to collaborate with other organizations and things and get out there and start speaking, I started a nonprofit that was really around starting a blog. So as I started doing that, I started doing more speaking events and speaking out around postpartum depression and anxiety and maternal mental health before it became a thing like it is now. So I was doing this about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, before it became like this huge thing that we talk about now. And I was driving to speak at a homeless shelter for women, for mothers, and I didn't have any gas in my car. And I was like, oh. And so my husband was telling me, like, you can't be out there saving the world and like we are, everything around you is kind of falling apart. And I'm like, yeah, probably need to figure out how to make some money. Because I was really passionate about talking about, mental health and maternal mental health and, all those good things. But I needed some money. And I could not drive around on E and then be going and speaking and motivating other women. And yet I'm coming home and, the situation was what it was. So I started to look online because I didn't want to leave my kids. I wanted to be at home with them. I'm a mom of 6. So at that time, I have 6.
Wait.
Yeah.
You have 6 children?
I have 6. And it's so funny because a lot of folks are like that. I'm like, you guys don't, I talk about it online. I don't show them a lot online. I'm just not that huge a part of wanting my kids to be online like that. But yeah, my oldest is 25 now. So yeah. And while I was doing all this, she was in like middle school, high school. So I was like, okay, I got to figure something out. I wanted to volunteer in her class. And as we just touched on a little bit, in our communities, we don't talk a lot about, monetizing and all that good stuff, but we also don't talk about volunteering and being present in our kids' schools, right? And I knew that was really important for my child to be, your child is just treated differently when you volunteer as a parent. They just are. Teachers are more open to your conversations. You know who the principal is and the principal knows you. You find that you don't have a lot of issues and problems that a lot of our children seem to go through when you're on the campus. And folks know that you're involved in, doing all the things. So I wanted to do a lot of that. And I was like, okay, well, how am I going to do that and work? And I was like, I can't work. I'm going to have to figure something else out. So I started a blog. And that morphed into people paying me money to write horrible blog posts. I am not a writer. Horrible blog posts. This is before ChatGPT. I wish I would have had ChatGPT back then. But it, horrible blog posts and YouTube videos that I was putting out there that I was having women in Africa and women in United Kingdom, like commenting on my videos, like, oh my gosh, you helped me so much with this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why are we not talking about this more widespread? And why aren't more clinicians and people that actually have degrees utilizing YouTube? And so that's where I spiraled into this whole monetization game, if you will, not necessarily as a coach, but more as a strategist of we need to be utilizing the places and spaces where our mothers are, where our children are, and making it positive content versus negative content. And that was kind of my huge kick. So I don't know if this is long story short, but yeah, that's how I got into it.
Well, we need to break that down because first of all, you said you had 6 kids and the eldest is 25 and you look not a day older than 25. So clearly you are drinking your water and minding your business. The ancestors are around this. And we need to honor that.
Right.
I also want to honor, as you know, me as a new mom, thank you for what you did and are doing for that conversation around maternal mental health. It is interesting that during my pregnancy journey, the number of conversations that were required by doctors to me about my mental health. And I actively know that 5-6 years ago, those conversations weren't happening. So it's because of people like you, and for folks who are listening, protect the birthing people. We need protection. Protect all birthing people. And part of that protection and part of that honoring is mental health awareness, especially postpartum, because y'all, postpartum is no joke.
Not a one joke, okay? Not a
I
one
made,
joke.
I made to do an episode in my first 4 weeks because I was like, whoa, whoa.
And nobody really prepares you. I mean, they could tell you everything they want to tell you, but your experience in it, totally different thing. Totally different.
And Jessica, the experience that I had that we will take offline, but the experience that I had.
Oh, really?
So I really appreciate you for doing that work. And I appreciate all the people in the world who are doing this work to protect and honor birthing people. It's very, very important.
It's important. And I think in the moment,
child is no joke. We make it sound like it's just an easy walk in the park, and it's actually a near-death experience. So thank you. I will not be doing it 6 times like you, but thank you.
Yes. You know what? I don't know what I was going through in my younger age of in my 20s, but I tell folks I dedicated my whole 20s to either birthing a child or nursing a child. So I really didn't have that whole experience of like, doing the drinking and all that stuff. I was pregnant or breastfeeding and nursing a child all of my 20s. But anywho. And it's funny you say thank you, like, and it's like, oh, wow, you look back and you're like, you don't know what you're doing in that moment. You just know there's something important that needs to happen. And you're right. The work that we put in, to organizations that I worked along with, those, I was at the state capitol in Sacramento, telling my story and advocating for the what is it called? Propositions and things like that were coming out, right? For a lot of that policy and advocacy to happen. I was the person that they were calling going, Jessica, we need you to go up there and tell your story. Jessica, we need you to go up there and tell your story. And I was doing a lot of that stuff behind the scenes. I wish I had recorded it, but I didn't. But I was the person up there like, hey, doctors need to have these conversations in the office when, women come to their postpartum appointment. This is why it's important. This is what happened to me, right? So, yeah, it's amazing how, you can do things and make changes just one person and you don't realize it when you're doing it.
Well, I'm here to tell you, I know that we're not here to talk about postpartum, but because of your advocacy, because of you going to the Capitol, as a person who recently went through this, those conversations are being had and they are required by medical professionals. So you literally are changing the world. We should know that. Yeah.
Yeah, with no gas I take back in the day. So it was worth it.
It was worth it. Let's get into monetizing online. Why do you think online monetization for folks who are using the internet and putting their information on the internet on a frequent basis? This is not just the people who say happy birthday on Facebook once a year, but the people who are really active internet users. Why do you think it's important for them to learn these traits of monetization?
The reason why I think it's important is because, you get to take control of your narrative. That's the number one reason why I started doing this. And a lot of people don't see it as that way, right? They see it as, silly videos. So, telling your business, put your business out in the street, all that good stuff, right? And some of it is. But there is also this narrative that you get to create around your story and who you are, and also leaving a legacy behind. This conversation of, even as you do this podcast, right? This is something that your grandchildren will be able to listen to. Your great-grandchildren will be able to listen to and be like, hey, my grandma was dope, So I wanted to have that. I wanted to have that out there, but then I also wanted to get paid my value and my worth. From that experience of doing all that advocacy work, like I said, being out there, telling my story, doing all that good stuff, but my gas tank's on me, my rent's due, bills need to be paid here. I'm like, okay, how do I tell my story and how do I put things out there, but then also get paid for them? How do I put literally content out there, but then get paid for what I'm doing? And that's where this whole world of the internet opened up to me. It was a way for me to talk about maternal mental health, because I started off interviewing moms who were business owners and like, how are you doing this exactly? How are you continuously making money and bringing in things? And they were like, oh, these are innovators. These are folks that are like coming up with ideas or writing books, out of their ideas. They're taking literally ideas that they have and our memories or stories are pictures and images that just pop up, and then they're turning them into profitable businesses. And I was like, that's so amazing to me. So really my curiosity just pushed me into online monetization. And that's how I got into monetizing and thinking about the importance of all of it and wanting to teach people that actually had something to say. My daughter would sit down, my oldest, she was, like I said, like 12, 13, and she would scroll Instagram back when Instagram first came out. I'm like, why are you on it all the time? Like, why? I never could understand it. So then she's like, Mom, this girl gets paid $5,000 to put this shirt on. I said, she would what?
Jessica, the kids be knowing.
They know.
Aunties would say the kids be knowing, okay? Yes.
I was like, now imagine if I had listened to her and got all this. She's like, Mom, you should get on it. You're funny. Like, you always are seeing stuff, little funny stuff. You should do it. I'm like, I ain't getting on that thing. I wish I had listened. But yeah, so and I'm like, wait a minute. So you're telling me they get paid just to post a shirt and say, buy the shirt? She's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so she's scrolling more, and then I see booty shaking. I see all the other things. I'm like, oh, Lord. Okay. So
the internet
where are the educators?
It is a diversity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but where
Shout
are the
out
educators?
to the diversity of the internet. Yes.
Where are the educators though, right? Where are the business folks, right? Where are the corporate people that are like us, but the C-suites? Where are the C-suite managers? Mm-hmm. Where are the folks? I want you to see people that look like you that are successful. That's what I wanted her to see. And back then, now I think there's a ton more, right? Because folks don't understand the power of the internet and things to that effect. But back then there wasn't. And I was like, how can I bring those people to the forefront so that our kids can scroll? And yeah, they may see a little, but they'll also see what they can become. Yeah. And that really pushed me into it. And so I started going out into executive meetings or anything I could find really online and telling those people to get online, get your butts online and start talking about your story and telling people what you do, right? Especially African-American people. Like, I need for y'all, all this information and education you got and all these degrees you done got, I need you to go online and start to tell your story because my kids are on there and they're looking for that image, right? So
I think that we don't, as a society of people, I think that individually we don't realize our power of existing, and we don't realize the influence and the power of our stories. So regardless if you have 18 degrees, regardless if you have 0, many times I've met people where I'm just like, wow, people should know about you. That's not normal. And then the person, looks at me and says, oh, I just thought it was normal, or I just did what I had to do. And we don't take a step and honor our worth and understanding that our experiences in our lives, what we've been through, the good and the bad, somebody else finds that fantastic and finds it Academy Award worthy. And we sit back and we just assume, well, it is what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, it's also too, when I look at, folks like, Martin Luther King and, I look at his, January, you see all these online videos of him going around. It's like, imagine if he hadn't recorded that. Like, what will we have left of that, that speech? We wouldn't have it.
You're nicer than me. I'm going to push back. What I'm going to say is, imagine if Martin didn't have Coretta, because the only reason...
That too.
Let's just be very clear about this, okay? For the world to know. The only reason
he has it.
Why all of you have all this documentation of Dr. King.
It's because of her.
Is because of Coretta. And she does not get the accolades that she deserves. Coretta the opposite. That is the only reason. Once again.
I agree.
Because of a
Now, I agree with that. That won't push back from me. I agree. But to a point, my point is, he was the person, saying the thing.
Yes.
But if she had not told him to record it, we wouldn't have it.
We wouldn't.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so my basis is just that recording. Right. And I think, like you said, each of us need a recording of our story or our message to touch the person. Because I tell, my clients all the time, you could post something or you could say something that can literally save somebody else's life. And you won't even be thinking in that, you're just, you're a motivational speaker. You're just doing what you do, right? You wrote, whatever, right? You wrote a book. You're just doing what you do. But that person could come across your video and decide, oh, wow, because I saw this person and they speak in a language that I can understand, or I feel like I resonate with their story. You can really help somebody else, and you'll never meet them. You may never meet them in your life, but your content can come across just their feed and change the whole trajectory of their life. And that's what I wanted to see more of in the digital space versus the other things that were out there.
So how do we do it?
So how do you do it?
Yes.
First and foremost is identifying your story and what you want to be known for, right? What your brand is. Secondly is finding the right platform. Some folks love YouTube. Other folks are more of an Instagram type of person. And then we have, of course, LinkedIn. Other folks are more of that, professional guys. But all these different platforms have a dress code and they have an environment. And you just figure out which environment you feel like you want to fit into. And you start creating content for that platform specifically. Now, I am of the proponent of repurposing your content everywhere and getting paid multiple times on every platform. But you do want to have like your main platform where you're like, what, this is my jam. This is what I do. Facebook, wherever you're going to be. That's my main jam. So once you've identified that, then you look at what their monetization strategies are around their platform, right? Some folks have, or some places have, I should say, or platforms have where you can get paid more for your videos versus your static posts. Or you have, live streaming, which is hugely popular right now, where you can go and just live stream for hours and hours on end and build an audience that way and monetize in that way. So really identifying those three pieces and who you are, what platform you want to be on, where you are, and then what type of monetization structure you're going to be in. A lot of the reason why a lot of people aren't making money is because they don't know what monetization structure they're in, right? They just are like, I'm out here, I'm creating, I'm pushing it, but I don't know what my monetization strategy is at all. I don't know how my money's coming in, anything like that. They haven't identified it. So that's where I come in and go, okay, based upon what you're already doing, you could be, you can have a stream here, you can have a stream here, we can look at this stream. And then also, too, you have these other things going on, and that's all passive. So why don't you just put that over there and make sure that you're, driving traffic to it. So, yeah, those are my tips. Figure out who, where, and what.
So my question is, you keep on saying the word they, as in, like, they will pay you for it. Who is they? For the people, Jessica, who is writing the checks? Because, like you said, your daughter at 12, 13 years old said, Mom, this person is wearing a t-shirt and getting paid $5,000. I'm going to assume that the company who made that t-shirt was paying that person the $5,000. In your experience, which is advertising, right? In your experience, who is writing these checks other than product advertisement, which is pretty popular? Who else is writing checks? Like, who is the they? Who's going to pay me for this?
So there's a lot of different days, and that's where you're finding out what your monetization structure is and how you're going to monetize comes in, right? That they could be a platform, so it could be actually Meta, which is, Facebook. That can be the they. It can be Instagram. It can be the platform specific. It can also be that they of affiliates, right? It can be different things that you're promoting or putting out there, such as like SaaS software tools. And if you don't know what SaaS is, it's software as a service. So you think of like a MailChimp. If you know what MailChimp is, it just send out emails for you. You think of like a Zoom account where when you get on and you just record or you do, have meetings and things to that effect. If you become an affiliate, then they are the they, right? They will pay you a percentage for promoting for them. Brand deals. This is where brands, and brand is, it's tricky because brand can be so many different things right now. And it's kind of integrated even with influencers and business owners and, so brand could be business owner. It could be influencer that comes to you and says, hey, you have a specific audience we want to get to, right? It can also be a Nike or I'm trying to think of a big brand, Coca-Cola, right? That is going to come to you. So they can be the they. The they can also be corporations. right, that you possibly work for. It can be your corporation that you work for as a licensing company or as a way for you to bring in additional revenue through speaking events and gigs and things to that effect. So that question is loaded because they can be a lot of different people. It can also be government agencies because there's a lot of government agencies that need content right now, right? So a lot of them are actually coming out of the woodworks and asking for content. Nonprofits as well. So yeah, it's a lot of different ways.
So what I hear is the money is
everywhere.
everywhere. The money's everywhere. Just go grab it, family. Just go grab it.
Ask for it. Ask for it. Right? When you spoke earlier about, folks are posting things online and they don't value. What's happening is that people don't know that they can get paid for it. They're thinking, oh, it's just a picture. Or it's just a video of my, aunt that said this funny thing. If that thing goes anywhere near 50,000 in views, you had better get your email in that bio or something so folks can reach out to you and connect with you because you're going to guarantee you get some kind of reach out or something. But there's also ways if you don't get someone that reaches out to you that you can position it as well. Mm-hmm. So if your dog goes viral, start calling up some dog food companies and saying, hey, I got this many views on a video. It gave me this many followers. Would you like to sponsor a post? And what a sponsored post is that you're actually posting something directly, and it can be tied or loosely tied to the brand, but you're specifically, positioning the product in front of your audience with their signature or their line. That signature or line can be a tag where you're just tagging the company and going at Purina or whatever, right? In the description, it's sponsored by, or you can just create content the way you regularly do, playing around with your dog and say this video is sponsored by this person, and that can literally be it. So really just define it with the actual company, but look at those ways of earning cash for literally stuff you would do already or have done already, right? In your camera roll, you have money there waiting, like literally tons and tons of it. From things that you possibly wouldn't even really think that people would pay you for, but it's all there.
So how does one position themselves for that? So let's say that someone has the dog video of them playing with their cute dog in their phone, and they are listening right now, and they say, okay, I'm just going to post this to, insert TikTok, Instagram, whatever platform flows your boat.
Yeah.
And they say, but I want to get hit by Purina or, whatever dog food company there is. My question to you is, how do they position themselves? Do we need a media kit? Do we need an agent? I don't know. Do the ancestors come down and bless it? I don't know. Glinda the Good Witch says it shall be done. What are the steps? Because obviously we can post this video of this dog playing and it goes viral and then people are reaching out to you. But my question really comes from what happens when you want to be strategic, when you want to be on the offense and you say, people come to me. How do I do that?
First of all, take a step back, look at your account and understand or make the decision. Do I want this account to be a dog account? Or will the rest of my content be dog related? Because if you're going to go after those companies, they need to see not only one video, but they need to see a couple of videos on your feed that gives them a kind of feel of the type of content that you're going to create. So it isn't necessarily that you're going to create one video or you have a video and you're looking in your camera roll. I guarantee you, if you got one, you probably got about 6 or 7 of them or something similar in that category, right? Yeah. Your dog laying on the ground, your dog rolling over, different things like that. So really identify that, okay, I've made a strategic decision that this account is going to be me and my dog playing. Mm-hmm. Once you've made that decision, then start to post content that is in that realm and then stay on top of it. Get, I would say, at least 20 posts or so, out there. I have strategies around how to do that with existing content. So it isn't that you got to go out and now shoot 20 different videos. No.
Right.
Take what you have already and edit it so that it's different in different ways so that you have the 20 videos, right?
Yeah.
And once you have all of those up, then you're going to go, okay, you know what? Feed's looking good. Some of these comments are pretty funny. I kind of get an insight of or idea of what the audience wants. They're saying they like this. This is funny. This one got this many views. Now you're going to go ahead. Okay, I know the audience. So who would be a good fit for this audience? Oh, I know. the dog food that I had the dog toy that I got the other day, everybody was commenting about that dog toy. Let me reach out to the dog toy company,
right,
and see if they want to sponsor a post. Now, if they go to your account and they see all of these different photos and videos and all this stuff, and people are commenting on they're gonna be like, oh, where do we sign? How much do you want? So then that third piece is you need to identify how much money you want. Now, how you need to, when you first start off, don't go for the gusto. Maybe test a couple of posts, do your research around what folks are charging in your industry. Because there's some dog account right now. They're getting paid, I think, about $3,000 a post for dog accounts. Okay? So do your research and don't come to these folks without doing that type of thing before. But you can literally use your account as your media kit to start off with. Once you get more folks under your belt and you've worked with a couple of companies and things to that effect, then you actually create a media kit. But your portfolio is going to be your profile, let's say Instagram profile, for the first couple of times you reach out and pitch.
Ooh. How has monetizing your content about content monetization? How has monetizing your content affected your life?
Oh, I have been able to take my kids on trips. I've been able to, do things that I actually wanted to do. I think for a short period of time there in motherhood, I was kind of doing what everybody else wanted to do or what they needed to have done, all right, as a mom. And then I got to a point where it was like, I think I'm going to do what I want to do. So I'm now able to do that because I have the means to do that. I've made a ton more money working for myself than I've ever made working for somebody else. Yeah. But I've had to work twice as harder for myself as well than I've ever worked for anybody else. But I think that balance has allowed me to spend the time that I wanted. That's why I got into this, like I said in the beginning. I wanted to be at home with my kids, and I'm able to be at home with my kids, plus have money coming in. I mean, there's times when I'm at the movies and it's like, ding, ding, ding. Money's coming in, right? Or people are booking, calls or whatever, for meetings and things like that. So I don't have to have that anxiety or that worry hanging over my head that, oh my gosh, where's it going to come from? Oh my gosh, it like literally happens because that content's always out there working for me. It's always out there connecting with people, even when I'm not physically online or I'm not doing a live stream, whatever. My content's always out there talking to people.
So that's passive income, I would argue, right? You just walking around the world, being your best self, minding your business, drinking your water, and
a slightly passive because I still gotta talk to folks afterwards. But
of course,
slightly passive, yes. But I told my daughter it moved me from being a borrower, right, where I would just like if I had things coming up, I'd be like, hey, can I borrow? To I can make money. I can literally generate money. Money can just come to me. It flows to me. I moved into a place of abundance from all of this instead of this place of always in lack, right? Because I knew that if I needed to, make a quick buck or whatever real quick, I can go out either edit someone else's video content or just create my own content, and that would people would see it and send me money because I had something to offer. I have value, and I think before there was this unknowing of what value I had. And then once I started doing this, I got so much like validation around, oh, wow, people actually find me valuable or they find the information that I have valuable. So that just gave me more and more confidence to get out there and do it more. And now I'm like, oh yeah, if I need more money, I can just go, let me do a video real quick. If I need more money, let me go get a client.
I want to really dive deep into what you just said about value. Because I know you're right. This really is about knowing your value. So tell us more about Jessica pre not knowing her value and Jessica now that she knows her value, because I expect that journey of knowing your value in this I need to make money for rent space transcends much farther than just bills.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Tell me more about that.
It definitely was more of almost an awakening, I think, especially, I was a teen mom. I had the whole relationship with, first experience that I had with my daughter's father. And then I got married at 20. So young, married, children, a lot to carry, and just kind of, doing what I can to survive, so to speak, to move to the next day, Okay, everybody has everything they need, I'm spending time with them, I'm reading the books, all the things that you have and all these requirements that you feel like are placed upon you, especially when you become somebody's parent. And you have this whole nother human being that's looking at you like, and you're like, you're looking back down at them like, okay, what am I doing?
And I want to pause you, y'all. They do look at you like that.
Right.
And it's actually very daunting. They don't talk about that in sex ed or your Lamaze class. They will look at you like, so it is your job,
right,
to make sure I survive.
Yep.
Today and all the days. So what are you doing?
What are you doing?
That's what they look at you. It is terrifying. Yep. It is terrifying.
It is. I'm glad we concur on that, because I'll tell you, boy, woo, now imagine doing that over, and I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I think also the joy piece of it, right? So you balance it out. You have those moments where you're looking at each other like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? And then you also have those moments. Of, oh, I never knew I could love a human being this much. Like, this is just, I made this person.
And
what the heck?
Yeah.
And then when they get older, you really gonna feel it. But as my kids are like turning into adults, and I'm like, made this whole adult person
with opinions.
Sometimes you're like, I don't know where they got that one from, but
like, I tell my husband whenever my kid acts a fool, I'm like, that's not from my side of the family.
Yeah. So yeah, I got in trouble with that one. So be careful with that when she gets older.
I'm like, that's not on me. That's not on me.
I used to tell my kid that all the time. I got in trouble.
Wow.
But there's that balance, right? And then you get into the space of, who the heck am I? Right? Because you spend so much time taking care of everybody else. It almost is like, well, it isn't almost. You are the last person on that list, regardless. Like, forget it. That child is coming before you. And if you have several, those children, right, are coming before you.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even put my husband in that car. I'll put the children coming before me. And my husband, we are both like, okay. You got. And trying to navigate that thing, right? But going back to your question around value, I think a large piece of it really had to do with the fact that, to my point earlier, I didn't see a lot of representation of Black women like living out their dream or their best lives and things to that effect. So that almost kind of reiterated to me like, well, what am I going to do? Everybody else is kind of, you go get a job, you work, go home. You get a job, work, you go. It really didn't seem like there was anything beyond that. And for me, I was like, well, I'm not doing anything but taking care of these kids. So what am I doing? Like, what value am I bringing? And I just did a lot of deep inside work. We had a family member who, was taken away from us. And through that experience in and of itself, I was just like, oh my God, I got to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. It's, you're only here for a short amount of time. What am I going to do?
Right.
So I did a lot of deep work, did a lot of reading, a lot of personal development. And I started to change the people that were around me, because I realized a large part of that was people around me.
Now, Jess, the company you keep. The company you keep. And I don't think people really understand that. If you surround yourself with the right people, you will go far. And if you surround yourself with wrong people,
you ain't gonna go nowheres.
Nowhere. Nope.
Nowheres. So I started to change a lot of that. And as I started to change, I started to see that, oh wait, they don't like me changing. And this is causing conflict. Oh, we got a problem. Because if you're not here for me to be, positive and, I was always kind of that happy-go-lucky type of person, but like, oh, wait, because I'm trying to further myself and be better, now it's a problem. That's an issue. I don't think we need to be in a relationship anymore.
Yeah.
So as I started cutting people off and removing folks from my life, I started to also open up this box of, okay, what do I want now? Who am I? Like, what do I want to do with my life? You know, those type of questions. So yeah, it was a lot of that inside, internal, because to that point, you have those people around you. What do? Talk negative, talk about everybody else negative, want to fight all the time. Like, it's like all of these different negative patterns around you that you're like, okay. And then what happens is you start telling yourself that, right? Because they talk negative to you. They tell you ain't going to be nothing. You got so many kids. Oh, you ain't got blah, 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 blah. I was hearing all of those conversations being taught, or those things being said to me all the time. Oh, because you got so many kids, your life is over. Oh, you got so many kids, you can't do nothing now. Oh, well, what you gonna do? You got so many kids. My children are a blessing. Each one of these human beings are amazing in and of themselves. So when I changed that dialogue to, wow, actually, I see in them how you illuminate a room when you walk into it. Oh, wait, you see that in me? This is family and relatives. Oh, wait, they're like me like that? Oh. So I started to realize, oh, this is a bunch of negative, unhappy people here. I got to be the one to change this around. So I started changing that around. And what happened is the family members that I did keep around me and the folks I did keep around me, they started to change too, right? I'm now teaching everybody how to deep breathe. I'm teaching everybody how to say, instead of negative, you too fat, or why you look like that, or you lost. No. You look amazing. Oh my gosh, it's so glad to see you. And I realized they just didn't have the words to say that. They just didn't know how to do that.
Yeah. So what I hear is that monetize your content, family.
Monetize your content.
Figure out your niche on the internet, what you want your niche to be. And start figuring out how to monetize your content. And then we come to Jessica to get the tips and tricks and get coaching on how to do that in more detail. But what I also hear the PSA is figure you out and start doing some deep work, but be prepared to cut everybody off. I started doing my work in my inner work. And I want to say in like 2014, 2015. And let me tell you, the circle that is around me today looks completely different than it was pre-2014, 2015. There are some people from 2014, 2015 who are still in the alignment, who are still in the village, Jessica, right? Because they did their work. But the number of people that I had to let go. So the big PSA, family, is that if you don't really do your work, I applaud that. It sounds like Jessica also applauds that, but be prepared. You're going to be cutting a lot of people off.
You're going to be cutting people off. You're going to be fighting against your own, or fighting for, I should say, your own happiness.
Yeah. But do it. Do it. I'm a Capricorn. I love a good fight. I'm like, let's go. Let's Timberlands and Vaseline all day, Jessica. Always in my car, all day. I am stacked and strapped. I'm not. So let's do it.
I'm not a fighter. I'm not going to fight you in that way. The way that I fight you is in silence. You will never hear a word from me.
Oh, you're one of those. Yeah, no, I'm a Gryffindor. I'm a Gryffindor. I'm like, where are we rolling up to?
Yeah, I'm one of those. Oh, that's what you. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't even exist in my world anymore.
That's the current work that I'm doing, is that I don't need to bring a bomb to every fight. It's not necessary. And it really just affects my energy. Right? But motherhood will teach you that.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. So I want to tell you something, and I know we're coming to a close. I want to tell you something that I told my sister one day. I want to tell you a short story. I'll tell you the story about what happened. So my sister and I are in the car in Lake Tahoe. We're doing a family weekend.
Oh, fun.
Her and myself and one of my daughters and her daughter, we run to the store. Okay. Well, she's driving. So we're in the car. We're talking, laughing, having a good old time. Well, she's about to park, and this guy, you can guess his nationality, comes and just swerves and drives right in front of us and parks in front of us.
Okay.
She is livid. She is ready to jump out the car and and I'm like, calm down. Find another part. Go. We're trying. I said, no, he's not. You're going to let that go. You're going to woost. You're going to take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out and let that go. Okay, the moral of the story is that it's always going to be somebody trying to mess up your day. And the only thing they're going to do is mess up your own energy, and you're going to be upset. You're going to be, stressed out. You're ready to fight. Your whole day can be messed up because now you got to rehash the story and everything else. When you could just go find another part. And let them...
honestly piss them off in the process because they didn't win.
Exactly. So guess what he did? He hopped out the car. He's looking at us and everything. And I said, you don't dare look at you keep your eyes on me. We're going to keep on talking. We're going to keep on having a good time. He does not exist in our world.
He does not.
He does not exist. So it's a thing of, you're not a punk. Ain't nobody trying to get at you.
Right.
It's changing that narrative. He ain't trying to, he trying to beef up on me. No.
I would like to put it out there that I'm a fake thug. So my bark is a lot bigger than my bite. I have never been in a physical altercation, and I won't. Okay, my skincare routine is too expensive. Okay, so we'll have to just call my lawyer. But my words, Jessica, my mouth, as my grandmother used to say, can write checks that sometimes I cannot cash.
See, and there's no reason for that because then you have to rehash it. You got to go through it, and then you got to tell the police, and then you got to just go find another part. The parking lot's full of them.
Yep,
the parking lot is full of them, and it doesn't matter.
You just go find another one.
Wait, just go somewhere like literally, because you're allowing that person to then have control over your emotions, your feelings. Now they're not interrupting your day. Now they've entered into your life. Do they deserve to enter into your life?
No, ma'am.
No,
ma'am.
So I taught her something.
Now you can live rent free in their head. The petty in me is I'm like, allow me to live rent free in your universe.
Yeah, exactly. Because then he's gonna guess what's going on in his head. Why they didn't? Why didn't? Yep. Why? Well, what happened? Well, what? You let him go ahead and do all he wants. But we got stuff we got to do. And we are living our happy lives over here. We are not going to let that person interrupt our day. So just folks that are listening to me, don't let people interrupt your day or let them have control over your energy. They don't deserve it.
Amen. But do monetize your content because you deserve that.
Please. Because you're valuable. Your story is valuable. Now we can have some conversations about folks trying to take other people's content and get paid for it. Now that I will fight.
I'm too much in my integrity to do that, Jessica. I just think, but I can only imagine, especially with everything booming with the internet, I can definitely see that happening. So in closing, allow us to reintroduce you, sis. Jessica, who are you?
Okay. I am a educator. I am a mom. And I am an advocate. That's what I am. That's what I am. And I'm valuable. I'm valuable to a lot of people in a lot of spaces I never thought I would be. I am valuable.
I love that. You are so valuable. And I love that you are teaching, inspiring, training others that they're also valuable. What would the world look like if everybody really innately knew that they add value to the table?
To the world, right? To the world. You add value to the world in ways you never knew were possible, right? And I think that's just the way that, regardless of whatever you believe in, the universe, God, what have you, that's just the way we're designed. We're all designed to be of value in this world to others. That's why we're here.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.